Thank you very much, Mr. Koma, for your kind words and your best wishes. Hello again, everyone, and thank you for joining us, whether you are here in person or you're watching us through our streaming service. My name is Oscar Palazón, part-time English teacher, part-time Master of Ceremonies, and I'm delighted to host this seminar for the second time. Look at this. You should see it from here. It's amazing. So many people have come together here today in the name of mobility. What a beautiful congregation. Let me provide you with some figures. So we've got 140 Catalan participants and 38 foreign participants from 12 different countries. And you know what the biggest contingent is? The French one. So France wins again. So most of the foreign participants come from France. So this story that, neighboring countries are enemies, well, in this case, it doesn't apply. So we'll start with the French. Bonjour à tous. But we've got participants and visitors from other countries. For example, Belgium. Bonjour, goedemorgen. Also, we've got someone from another bilingual country, from Ireland. Good morning, mai de noix. We've got people from Italy, buongiorno. Also, we've got visitors from the Netherlands, goedemorgen. Guten Tag, wenn Sie aus Deutschland kommen. Bom dia, Portugal. We've got people from Greece, Kalimera. Also from Malta. Lodua Teiba, also from Albania, which I think is the first time we've got someone from Albania, Mirmen Jesi, also from Georgia, Dila Mishvidovisa, from Finland, Hyvä huomenta. We've got also speakers from Spain, from Madrid, buenos días, and of course, bon dia a tothom to the Catalan speakers. Okay, do you realize this is the most important event you'll be attending this year? You know that around this time of year, there's just here over the road, there's a very big congress, a mobile phone congress. It's called the Mobile World Congress. Well, they wanted to do it this week, and we said, no, we're doing our seminar on mobility. So you do it before, okay? So that was last week. So that's for you to know that how important this event is. Well, I think we're going to have a really interesting day here today. Our national and international speakers will cover a wide range of topics, such as the future of mobilities abroad, skills, Europass, work-based learning, international cooperation, inclusion and diversity, Erasmus Plus projects, lifelong learning, and your favorite part, matchmaking, okay? Because from your answers in the service of the previous editions of this seminar, you mentioned that matchmaking is your favorite activity. I'll explain that later, how we're going to do that, okay? So it's just for you to find partners to do mobilities or projects together. Also, I'd like to mention before we start that, again, like last year, we've got an illustrator. She's a vocational student who is finishing a higher education degree on illustration. Her name is Georgina. She's over there. Can you say hello to everyone? Yeah. So she's going to be doing a graphic recording, that's the technical name, a graphic recording of each presentation. So when each speaker finishes his or her talk, then you're going to see on the screen her impressions, her graphic summary of what that speaker has talked about, okay? But she's not the only vocational student here today. Well, I can't say anything else for the moment. You'll see that later. I'd like to very briefly talk about talent, because sometimes when we talk about vocational education and vocational students and companies, the word talent is there, highlighted, talent, okay? According to the Collins Dictionary, talent is a natural ability to do something well. Of course, there's a strong connection between this definition and Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences, you know, visual, musical, interpersonal, etc. In my case, for example, I'm better at languages than maths. In fact, I'm crap at maths. I can barely multiply. But anyway, that would be another thing. So, as I mentioned before, I'm an English teacher at a vocational school. And sometimes I can't help being a teacher outside the classroom. So in today's lesson, we're going to practice the second conditional. Remember, we use the second conditional to talk about hypothetical events in the present or the future. In other words, we use the second conditional to talk about something that is not happening, but could be happening. For example, if this was a talent show, I could entertain you with my famous 3-ball juggling routine, but I won't, don't worry, okay? Right, so let's go on to the first speaker. Our first speaker comes from Finland. Her name is Tanja Halttunen. She is responsible for all Erasmus Plus and transnational projects at Axel, which is a huge vet provider in her country. And as a mobility coordinator, she has participated in over 85 international and development projects. And if this was a talent show, and we showed Tanja different mushrooms, she would be able to tell us which ones are edible. So let's walk into the forest with her. But before you start, there's a little thing waiting there, sorry. If technology allows us. Yeah.
Okay. Well, hello everybody. This was the first time I hear the sound of forest before I do a speech. I was very nervous before that, but as always, the forest has a very calming effect. So I don't feel as nervous anymore. I am very happy to be here, especially as this apparently is the most important event of the year, and to be one of the first speakers. I come from Finland. And I was very impressed by all the languages and the hellos he said in every country that is here. I come from Finland, but Finland is also bilingual. And I come from a Swedish-speaking area representing a Swedish-speaking school. So I want to wish you a very good morning in Swedish. God morgon allihopa. There was a short presentation of myself already. Now we will see if I can get this one to... No, it's not working. Should I... No. Well, I don't need a PowerPoint. I like talking without PowerPoints. So now I feel even more at home. And I can do my presentation a lot more freely now because I don't... Oh, I spoke too soon. It works. Well, who am I? There was already a short introduction, and a lot of these things were mentioned when doing the introduction of myself. And my topic is the future of mobilities. But I think it's quite important to look at the past before we go on to the future. So I'm going to give a short introduction of myself and how I came to where I am today, and then going to give a very short introduction of my school, what we've done, And I am, as you can see in the presentation, I am also a member of the Finnish national vet team since this year. So I have also some information of maybe what we can see in the future prediction, where I think we will be heading. You have to remember that I come from Finland, so my predictions come from my perspective, which is from the Finnish perspective and from the school I represent. I started my career in 2000, it's too long ago, as a teacher in interaction, in sociology, in learning styles and cultural awareness. I studied gerontology and international law and sociology, which was a really weird mix. And nobody ever understood why I studied those subjects. They could never see into the future why I needed them. To be honest, I didn't do that either. But now, many years later, I realized that those subjects were very vital for me. And studying gerontology actually gave me the opportunity to be one of the first Erasmus students to go abroad in 1995 when I went to study in Amsterdam. I worked as a teacher for several years, and then internationalization became quite important. And people wanted, or the management at the school I was working for at the time, wanted me to start to develop international collaboration and start sending students on mobilities. I don't know why they chose me, probably because of my past in international law, so international and internationalization had a nice ring to it, so I got the job. And I loved the job. So when my school merged with 7 other schools to become Axel, where I work today, I applied for the job as the international coordinator, and I got it. There were other applicants who were much better at the job than me, I'm sure. And I was always very curious of why they chose me for the job. And the CEO of Axel at the time told me that the reason they chose me was that they had asked me a question, which was, who should go on a mobility? And I didn't know the correct answer, so I spoke from my heart and I said, I want those to go on a mobility who don't normally have an opportunity to go on a mobility. I want the weaker students to go on a mobility. I want those students from fields that don't normally go on a mobility to go on a mobility. I want teachers to go on a mobility, and I want companies to go on a mobility. And I want to make Axel one of the biggest when it comes to international mobilities. And that got me the job. And today, we are one of the biggest of international collaboration. We are the biggest when it comes to KA2 projects. So as you can see, one of my main targets then was inclusion, because it was very important to me. I started off, I always do different things the back way. I started off with students. So I remember going to a meeting, asking people, the teachers who were sitting like here, and I said, I need 4 students. You can choose them. I have qualifications, and they need to be followed. The students have to be lazy. They have to have low self-esteem. They have to be your nightmare students, and they have to be those who are thinking about quitting education, because I want them on a project to develop international mobilities with me, because that is the only way we can get internationalization for everybody. I got an award for my work in the 8th award, which was for a project called App Mentor, which was also dealing with mobilities and help make mobilities even more inclusive, providing support through different apps. Now we will see if I can work this one. I'm not going to go through the numbers because just like you, Oscar, I'm not very good at numbers. But Axel is, in Finland, a relatively big school. We're the biggest Swedish-speaking vocational education organization, and we have around 61 vocational qualifications, around 6,000 students, and about 1,000 qualifications a year. We do not that many international exchanges. When I say we're one of the biggest in international mobilities and international collaborations, it is because we send students by themselves. We never send students with a teacher or an accompanying person. They usually go alone or in groups of max 4 people. We send students under the age of 18, and also they go on mobilities without anybody helping them, because at Axel, that was one of my goals, and that is something that I am very proud of having developed, is the fact that international mobilities is and should be in the future the opportunity for students to learn and to grow and develop skills, and more importantly, learn things about themselves and find skills that they weren't aware of. And having somebody with them is, in my opinion, sometimes preventing on those skills to develop as well as they can when they have to go by themselves. It's not easy, it's a lot of work, it's a lot of challenges, but the rewards are amazing. We offer education in 7 different locations, from Turku, which used to be the capital of Finland before the fishing village of Helsinki became the capital. And then we have schools in between Helsinki and Turku. I'm located in Kaaris, which is halfway between Turku and Helsinki, and is the biggest of the departments because it's good connections, we have good trains, we have dormitories, etc. We are a private school, so we are owned by, now you get to learn some Swedish or listen to some Swedish. We are owned by Svenska Folkskolans Vänner, Stiftelsen Finlandssvenska Jordfondens RS, and Raseborgs stad, the municipality. The first one has to do with Finland-Swedish educational friends, and then the other one is from the agricultural sector, because I come from not a big city, but one of the owners wants also education in areas which is not so densely populated. This is information I got from the Finnish National Agency before coming here, because I asked them and I told them that I've been invited here, and we were talking about how things happened when COVID hit us. Because before COVID, there was a trend of mobilities going up. Then COVID came, and everybody, and those of you who worked with mobilities already back then, will never forget the day when we were informed that get the students home now. And then there was homeschooling, then it was a chapter of our life that was very stressful. We overcame COVID, but there was a concern of how can we make sure that mobilities are going to go up. The first years, things were quite slow. At Axel, most of the people doing mobilities were staff, because we wanted to get them to encourage students to go on mobilities. Slowly, they started to go up. Here you can see the statistics, the fall in 2021. Now it's going up, and now we are at the situation at Axel for the first time in history, and I've been doing this since 2008, we are having more students who want to go on a mobility than we have funding, and it's growing. We already have so many students applying for mobilities for next year. And for somebody working in internationalizations in these days, when there is a lot of radicalization, there's a lot of uncertainty, there's a lot of war, there's a lot of prejudice growing up, there's a lot of financial obstacles, to see that the number of students who want to go on a mobility is going up gives me a lot of comfort, because it gives me hope that our next generation and the people studying vocational education will become very open-minded and inclusive and become European citizens who actually tolerate people and understand that despite our differences, we all share similar values. We all love our families, we all love our friends, we all want to grow up in a happy surroundings, and we want to develop. And hopefully, We want to learn from each other, because that's the best thing about the Erasmus mobility, is the fact that we learn. Not necessarily the vocational skills, not necessarily what we thought we were going to learn, but we learn a lot of things. The budget is increasing. You can see how it's growing all the time. And this looks very good. And it is very positive. And hopefully it's going to grow. And I have been given signals that the focus is going to be even stronger on mobilities. I think this is excellent, especially when it comes for student mobilities. But one concern is that there's a lot of schools who already has had a lot of mobilities. There are more actors coming in who also want to have more mobilities. So even though the funding is growing, we need more money for student mobilities, because the number of students, as I said, at least in Finland, is growing. This is the first time that we're in March in a situation where we have to tell students that we're sorry, you cannot get funding for a mobility this year. You have to wait until next year. And we got more money than we had applied last year. So I hope and predict that in the future, the funding for mobilities is going to grow, and especially for student mobilities. For staff mobilities, I don't know. The trend there is very concerning. The schools used to be very positive towards sending teachers on mobilities and sending staff on mobilities and giving them the opportunity to go and further their own skills. It was considered kind of a recognition that you are a good teacher, you know what you want to develop, you can go on a mobility. But the financial crisis and the cut downs in education, and especially in vocational education in Finland, has resulted in many schools cutting down on staff mobilities. I don't know if this is the trend in Europe, in the rest of Europe, but this is a big trend in Finland. Most schools cut down staff mobilities. They want the students to go on mobilities, but they want staff to go abroad, but through KA2 funding. Because sending a teacher on a mobility is quite costly. And we are not very good at recognizing the competencies that teachers gain during a mobility, what benefits the school we get from the mobility, what benefits the students will get from the mobility, and what benefits the society and the employers will get from the mobilities. I hope, though, and this is kind of an encouragement for those who are on a higher level to actually put money into staff mobilities as well, and not just on KA2 mobilities, because staff mobilities develops skills of the teachers. It helps them understand things from a different perspective. It brings something new to the school, to the classroom. It's a positive marketing tool, but most of all, it encourages students to go on mobilities. And it encourages students to keep an open mind to people doing things differently in different countries. So it helps them make their students more tolerant. So I think we need to become better at lifting up the benefits it has on students and that it has on the society in general. As I said, one of the main things that got me the job was my view on inclusion and equal opportunities in mobilities. This is something that through the years has gotten more and more significance. It's become more important. Nobody questions today if we should send only the best students, the strongest students. Now there's a big effort in allowing all students to go on a mobility and making it possible. There is extra funding to be used for students who need inclusion support. If there is students who have low financial incomes, if they need extra support, they can get it. If you need, as a school, extra support to mentor them, there is the option to get additional funding as well. And my prediction is that as Europe wants all students to be able to go on mobilities, all staff to go on mobilities, all adult learners to go on mobilities, there is going to be put a lot of more pressure on schools to become more inclusive when it comes on selecting students for mobilities. This takes me to the next thing. I've stopped with the text. Here's a few pictures of our students and our staff who have been on mobilities. And it looks like there's a lot of teachers, because there's a lot of pictures of adults on mobilities here. But what has made me very happy is that after COVID, the number of adult learners at Excel has increased. At the moment, we get maybe more applications from adult learners who want to go on a mobility. This is wonderful. At the same time, this is very challenging, because working with young people, they don't have so high expectations. They know they want to come to Spain because it's sunny here and they have been here on holidays and it's fun and it's a nice place to come to. They've been here on holiday and they want to learn how it's to work in a different culture, but they don't understand what working in a different culture is. They understand that Spain has sunny and warm weather and nicer than Finland. But adult learners, they know what they want. They don't go on a mobilities to find themselves or learn if working abroad is something for them. They go abroad because they want to develop a specific skill that they bring home with them. We've had students who went to Denmark to learn how to sew jockey clothes, only to open up a company. We had a student who went to Japan to learn crafts. And the number of those is increasing, because when they return, they know that when they graduate, they are going to put what they learn into action. They will start their own businesses. And especially if you are an artisan or work with your hands, it's a good marketing business. It's something extra. They have found a niche. So they can be very demanding, but I am very happy, and I think that in the future, there is going to be a lot more effort going to put on student learners going on mobilities, on inclusion, on maybe staff mobilities as well. I hope so. But I hope they won't forget KA2 mobilities, because KA2 projects, because that's also a good mobility, even though it's under a different category. And in KA2 also students can move. I'm going to start to sum up now, but I want to promote a project that I coordinated and that Francesca, who is going to speak later on, was a partner in. It's called Connecting Europe, where we worked on trying to find tools to make mobilities of better quality, or making them more inclusive. And we had an event to which we took students. And these students were students with fewer opportunities and who had not traveled before. And this event had such a big impact on the students. I wasn't at the event myself. My colleague was there. And she told me when she came back that there was one of the boys she went there with who was sitting at the airport in the corner, looking very sad and very depressed. And she was thinking that, oh, he's feeling a bit excluded, he's feeling unhappy. There is something wrong with that student. So she went up to him to ask him, what's wrong? And he said, nothing, but I feel so sad. I am so sad, because I have had the best days in my life. I have experienced something I thought I would never be able to experience. I have learned so much about myself, and now I will return home to my old life, and I don't want to return back to my own life. I want this to continue, finding my European family. So here is a link to the Connecting Europe project, and I don't know if you are going to get the PowerPoints afterwards, then you can maybe go and visit that project. To sum up, the theme was future, and I've been talking about the past. But like I said, it's very difficult to predict what's going to happen in the future in these days when everything is so uncertain. But I predict there will be more inclusiveness. I think there will be much more focus on European citizenships and preventing radicalization. And the new opportunity of group mobilities, where small groups of students can go together for a couple of days, is going to increase. This was what has actually been seen in my college. There's more and more interest here because the group mobilities is one-of-a-kind opportunity to take those students who are afraid to go by themselves, who don't want to be away for a long time, and who don't think mobilities are for them. Going with a group of 8 students and a teacher on a mobility, staying in the school with students from another country, in the classroom, maybe visiting a company, makes them realize that they can do it, which will make them want to go on a mobility later on, which will increase the number of students going on a European mobility, increasing the number of European citizenships who are open and tolerant and willing to develop and who has developed a lot of soft skills. I also hope that there is going to be a lot more small-scale competitions included in the group mobilities. This is something that we are now piloting or going to pilot in our schools. And I think that the number of students in VET is going to become more and more important, especially today when we need to make sure that they have the chance to see that there is a life outside of the little town or the big town they come from. Thank you very much.
Questions? Preguntas? Preguntas o no? Sí. Okay. So if you are patient enough to wait for a few seconds, you're going to see our illustrator's graphic representation on the screen. In the meantime, Tanja, I was very impressed to see this lady here in the eyes and smiling. Yes. Maybe. Okay. So yes, some of my mates will go around with microphones, or myself, I can do that. So any questions for Tanja?
Oh, the one in the eyes who had the smile. Oh,
Sorry?
You're talking about the woman
yes,
who was...
the lady in the eyes smiling. Why was she smiling? Oh, that's
she was in shock. I've done it once. I always say I've done it 3 times. First time, last time, never again.
Tanja, that's what you talked about, apparently.
Okay. Wow.
So
Wonderful.
Are there any questions for Tanja? We've got a microphone here.
Hallo, Tanja, I have a question. Summa College, Eindhoven, the Netherlands. I'm here.
Where?
Here.
Oh, too close.
I have a question. You have a budget from national agency, and how divide your budget? Because every country and every college has own priorities. What's the priority at your college? Because you cannot use all budget only for group mobilities.
No. I think it's the same everywhere. When you apply for funding, you kind of predict what type of mobilities you want to use. And if you are a newcomer, it's very difficult to predict what's going to be used. And when there's something new coming, it's even more difficult to predict. But for us, the biggest groups are the students that go for 4 to 6 weeks on mobilities. These students go by themselves to work on companies. But the trend is, and what I think is going to happen in the future, because as I said, the number of adult learners going on mobilities is increasing, which means that, and they can't be away for 4 to 6 weeks because they work, they have families, they have elderly people they might need to look after. So they can go for 2 or 3 weeks. So we every year have swapped, so we might have less 4 to 6 week mobilities and more of those that are 2 to 3 week mobilities to provide equal opportunities. The group mobilities, we could use the whole budget for it. But we have, in my school with the management, we have meetings and we discuss how we are going to continue, and hopefully there will be more money. So we could have for each sector at least one group mobility every second year. Because it's important to not just do it once. We've done it in horticulture now twice, and we will continue, because the first time is a trial period. Now we are going to try the same thing with mobilities and include a competitive aspect to it. And if you just do it once, I mean, it might fail the first time, but it might be a big success the second time. So keep going even if it doesn't maybe succeed. Spain. Or a lot of people want to go to Spain. I think the most, with the young people, the most popular destination is Spain, Italy, Malta, for some strange reason. I don't know why. But then when it comes to the adult learners and they know what they want to go to Sweden, they want to go to Denmark, they want to go to Germany, they want to go to Holland, and those who study ceramics, they want to go to Japan. Everybody, and we can only send one.